Hello and welcome to my first in a series I've decided to do about my favorite films ranked. Today, my first film I'm going to rank, I'll give you a little hint. Bum, bum, bum. Hello, Sydney. Okay, so my first ever YouTube video was actually Scream review, one of the Scream movies. I forget which one it was. Probably Scream 3. And that sort of kickstarted me doing YouTube. I'm not a big YouTuber, but I always love to share my opinions. So I've actually been inspired by seeing a lot of videos by other people, and they're all guys. So I'm like, what about a female perspective on this? Like, what, does anyone care what women think about horror movies? I am a huge horror movie fan. Always have been. You can look at my playlist. I have my top 20 horror movies, my top favorite Freddy movies I actually did before. I'm going to do an updated one. Actually following this video, I'm going to record that. Just wanted to give a little intro here, because the Scream movies, there's only 4 to talk about, so it won't take that long. And I just wanted to explain that I have been inspired seeing ranking videos on YouTube, and they're all men. So, let's get a lady's perspective, shall we? Wah! So, from worst to best, and I don't call any worst. For Scream movies, I really love, a lot of elements to all the Scream movies, but I did make a list, and I've written them down, and let's start with number 3, number 4, which is worst to best, so it's one I like the least. Number 4, least favorite Scream would be Scream 3. Most people pick this. Or they don't like Scream 4 or 2. So my reasons why it's on the bottom end of my list would be, it's a little hokey, it's a little silly. The Scream movies are kind of got that sort of funny vibe, but this one kind of went stupid in a few parts. But let me go into what I love about it, and then maybe go down with what I don't like. So, I love the opening scene with Cotton Weary and his girlfriend or wife getting killed, and how it's done. I also like how they use a voice changer. I think that's actually a pretty cool, innovative idea that they showed in the first movie that the voice changer was how they did their voices. But the way this one is, it mimics the voices of anyone, which doesn't really exist, I don't think, but it's kind of a cool idea. What else did I like about it? I like everything to do with Sydney, but she's not in it enough. This is also a downer as to why I don't like it as much as, say, 1, 2, or 3. I mean 4. So, Scream 3, Parker Posey I find interesting, funny, but also annoying in the movie. And I kind of hate the way she follows Gail around and annoys Gail. And the way she's Dewey's girlfriend, and now Gail's not with him, and that sort of thing I don't like. And so most of the side characters, except for Patrick Dempsey, I thought were kind of annoying. Jenny McCarthy was kind of good. I kind of liked her part, actually. Her death was cool. And what's the other girl's name? The one who's playing Sydney in Stab. I do like that they go into the movies of Stab in this movie, but they could have done it more seriously. I do find it very jokey. So that's why Scream 3 is my last pick out of my top list of best Scream movies. I won't go too far into details, but what else did I hate about it? Not that much. I like the way it ends, I like that it's her brother. I like that there's a backstory. I like that it kind of explained things, but and it was a good idea. So, but like the stuff in between getting there was kind of, some of it was really silly, and the part where he sends them a fax, and then like they have to go running from the building because it's got gas and all that. I thought that was stupid. And it didn't really suit Scream movies to me. It was like a weird action movie thing, and... One second. Yeah, like, I just didn't like that part of it, so... Back to my next option on the list. So, our next in the ranks... I don't want to say best to worst, because I really love all the Scream movies. But, in that order... the next one would be, well, Scream 2. Scream 2 is my next in the ranks. It is great, but it is better than Scream 3. And why it's better is Sydney is in college. Sydney gets to grow here and you get to see more of her personality. In the first movie, you don't get to see what is Sydney interested in, what is Sydney all about, except for being the victim and being the heroine that beats the killers. And about her relationship with Billy and with Tatum and the rest of the cast. But in this one, you get to see that she's in the drama club and she's doing a play and that sort of thing, and I like that build-up, and I like her new romance, but it's so weird how Jerry O'Connell is, like, the total opposite of, like, Skeet Ulrich. Like, I guess they wanted her to pick someone totally different that she really felt safe, but, to me, he ain't sexy. Skeet Ulrich is sexy, and I'd be like, you could kill me anytime. No, not really kill me, but you know what I mean. Anyways, back to Scream 2. The part I don't like is... There isn't that much I don't like. See, Scream 2 could really be my number 2 pick as well, but the next pick ahead of it beat it. But I don't really like the part where Jerry O'Connell dances and sings in the gym, but it's sweet. And it's sweet, and it shows that he actually loves her, and he's there for her, and he cares for her, and actually the part where, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this movie, it's like a gazillion years old, but when he gets killed, it's actually really, really sad to see him die when he was, like, Sydney's, like, true love at the time. I felt bad for her there. And when her friend, Hallie, that's how they pronounce her name. When Hallie gets killed and the way it happens, and I like the part where they're in the police car and they're trying to get away from Ghostface and all of that. I really love Courtney Cox and David Arquette in this one, and Jamie Kennedy, of course. I was really upset when he was killed, as of everybody. All the fans were big into that and upset that he was hurt and killed in that way, because he's like the one that always talks about movies, and in 3 you kind of lose that. I have to go back to like Scream 3, like you lose that element, and that's why they brought back that little videotape of him talking, but because there wasn't somebody like him saying the rules of horror and like how things work in each type of movie and stuff like that. And I do like all the parts in the drama class where they're talking about movies with Sarah Michelle Gellar and Joshua Jackson is there. It's like a WB reunion, cast reunion, and like Kevin Williamson, people that he's worked with reunion. I love that because I love Dawson's Creek and obviously Scream 2. But anyway, so Scream 2 I really like also, but I don't like Debbie Salt. And I didn't really believe that she was like Billy's mom, like, I don't know, she don't look like she could be his mom, and I don't know. It was a bit, I like that there was a backstory there, like, oh well, she's come back to get revenge for her son, but her son did horrible things, like, face it, you know, bitch. Your son's a killer, you killed people. But it was a good ending. It did end well. I like how Cotton Weary was actually helping, and I really, really love the part, actually, my favorite scene is when Courtney Cox, which is Gail, and Dewey are being chased by the killer, and first they're in the auditorium and they're watching videos of where the killer's videotaping everything he's doing, and then there's a part where she's in like a soundproof room and it's very suspenseful. You know the scene if you've seen it, and she's like hiding behind stuff and getting away. I really love that. And then when Dewey gets stabbed in the back and she watches it, you can see that they love each other and they fell in love in the movie. And I love their whole relationship throughout all the movies. And Sydney, of course, kicks ass in this movie, and she kicks ass in every single Scream movie, and I love Sydney. So my next pick is Scream 4 is my number 2 favorite Scream movie. This may not be the same for everyone, and it might be an unpopular opinion. I don't know what other people think about this. But to me, I really liked how they did it. It didn't do that good, and it should have. Maybe people weren't ready for another Scream movie, but to me, it really rocked, and the reason why is it's a good time limit break between the movies, and it's a good, like, I really like that it was someone in Sydney's family who kind of like went a little berserk and jealous of her. It made sense that way. I really think the writing was good in that way. I like how it's moved into today, and they videotape everything, and everything's webcasted, and you know, texting is involved, and like, you know, stuff like that was in it, and it was more like today. The cast, the teenagers in it were great. I actually really liked everybody, and that is hard to do when it's a new cast added to the existing cast that you already love. And I really liked the new people, which in Scream 3 I did not. Scream 2 I liked most people, but in Scream 4 I really liked nearly everybody. Hayden Panettiere, I really loved her character Kirby. Wanted her to live. Kind of wanted her to continue and be in it with Sydney. Like become like her, you know, her buddy or something. I don't know, or even take over for Sydney. But I never want Sydney to ever die. I feel like she's been through enough. I really, really, really feel like if they ever killed her off in some sequel, which was played around with in this movie, and it had me on the edge of my seat, actually, when she was almost dying in the hospital, and when Emma Roberts was attacking her and stuff like that. It was pretty brutal. It looked pretty brutal, and it was pretty effective, too. What else did I like about it? What didn't I like? Because you gotta say what you don't like. Since it's my second favorite, there's not much. The female cop was a bit annoying, actually. And when Gail says, your lemon squares taste like ass, I love that part, and I really don't like that girl, and I thought she was kind of annoying. Anthony Anderson was okay in it, but I was a bit annoyed with him and the guy from the OC being there, and it was kind of, I mean, good, they added to the body count so they can die, but for all in all, I really love it. I like the part where Gail goes to the secret party that the kids host. It's all Scream movies, or stab movies, really, and they're watching it in like a marathon, like binge watching it. I love that. I love how she acts in that whole part, and like the way she fights Ghostface and all that. Sydney really, really is great in this one. Better than 3. I feel like Sydney wasn't in 3 enough. She's really great in this one. And her acting, like when people that she loves or cares about dies, even when the girl across the street gets killed, which that's like the craziest, one of the craziest kills in all of the Scream movies, where you can see her entrails and her like guts coming out, which I'm surprised they actually got that in there. Like usually they cut this stuff because of the censors, but that's a pretty awesome, like, scary kill. When I saw that part, I was like, okay, you're going there. Oh, and the opening scene where it's a movie within a movie within a movie, all the cool meta stuff with, like, all these cameos by famous actresses, like Anna Paquin and Kristen Bell, and, what's that other girl's name? Lucy Hale, and the other girl that was on 90210, I forget her name. Shanae Grimes, I think. That was great too, and again made it very today, and updated and fresh and kind of interesting and new. What else? I just love it. I really do. I think it's a great addition. It's a good ending, but it wasn't totally a happy ending. I kind of want to see... Scream 3 had the best happy ending for everybody, because Dewey proposed to Gail, and Sydney sort of fell free again, and Patrick Dempsey was kind of like a love interest, sort of. They made it seem like maybe... But even though I hated that movie, I like the ending better. But it does end in a good way for the survivors. Like, keep trying to get us, we're gonna beat you type of deal. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say about Scream 4. Yeah, like the way Sydney reacts when people die is not like every other horror movie. Like, she really cares. Sydney really cares when people get killed. She hates that. And I like that she wrote a book and she was trying to inspire people in the movie in Scream 4. And she's trying to move past it all and stuff like that. Oh, also, another thing I really love is the reporter who's like a bitch, and Gail is like, oh, you think you're like me, type of thing, and I liked her in that. I forget what her name is. Forget what her name is, but she's married to, what's his name's brother? Anyways. Brain fart, I don't remember her name, but she's great in this movie. She's like a great bitch, and she has a pretty cool death. The death scenes are all pretty good in this one. And the reveal at the end that Jill was her, one of the bad guys, and the other guy, I forget his name, Kieran Culkin, I think that's the actor's name. He's Macaulay Culkin's brother. They were good. He was like Randy, and it was kind of like they were setting up the original movie in a way. And that's sort of what they say there, which I thought was cool. So let's move on to my top pick. Obviously, you know what it is. It is the Mac Daddy Scream 1. Who wouldn't pick Scream 1 as their favorite Scream movie? From the amazing opening scene with Drew Barrymore, where, like, they kind of fool you into thinking, Drew Barrymore's a huge star, and she was a huge star at the time, and she still is, and, like, you expect her to make it, and it's like Psycho, where they did the same thing as Psycho, where you think that the main character is the person you see at the beginning, who's the biggest star in the movie. And that whole scene is very scary and very interesting. I've talked about Scream in other reviews, so if you want to hear a full, in-depth, more commentary on this, you can check my other videos, but I will say a good amount about it. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. My favorite horror movie ever. And the reason why I like the combination of horror, funniness, humor, horror trivia, sort of. There's that horror trivia to it, and like horror rules, and like the way it's meta, and the way it's like self-aware of, you know, it talks about other horror movies. It's the horror movie fan's best choice for a great horror movie, to me. You can relate to the characters, and it's funny how they mention, there's so many things they mention in the movie that are, like, talking about other horror movies and, like, references. That's so interesting and awesome to watch, like, as a horror fan. And, Sydney was introduced here, and Sydney is kick-ass. You don't even know what Sydney's capable of until you really see her go. And like, she's smart, and she's strong, and she's been through a lot with the death of her mother, and you kind of wonder about, you know, why this is happening and who's doing this. And there's a lot of, when you first see it, like, it's been so long since I first seen it in the 90s, but I remember when I first saw it, I'm like, it's a bit of a whodunit, and all the Scream movies are like that. Until you've seen them, and then you know who've done it, and then you're just enjoying it. I remember thinking, oh, is Dewey the killer? Like, they showed his boots at one point, and it was kind of like maybe... I thought the principal was the killer at one point, because of the way he acted with those kids when they were, you know, he cut up the mask that they had when they were running around the school. I thought Billy was the killer. I didn't want him to be. Because I think he's, like, one of the sexiest dudes ever to appear in a horror movie, ever. I like the little romance between them. I like that that's part of the story, too. Like, even though he's sort of tricking her into losing her virginity for him, and he really does believe the horror movie trope that if you lose your virginity, you're gonna die if you're in a horror movie. And he's making his own horror movie right now in the movie, right? I love the whole parts with Billy and Stu and how stupid they act about when they're trying to kill her at the end. That's their biggest mistake. I like Tatum. I think she's a little badass. I love her in that. I think she could have put up a good fight, but I think she could have lasted longer. That was the only stupid kill in it, where she goes through the garage door. Like, who could fit through it? That's the only bad part right there. That's it. The rest of the movie is perfect. I love all the references, like I said. I love Randy's character. He is basically every horror fan personified in this movie. The part where he's watching Halloween during the end of the movie, and he's saying, you know, he's talking to the screen. Everybody that loves horror movies does that. Don't go in there, don't go in there. Watch out. Don't run upstairs. Don't check out that strange noise. You know, it's a great movie. It's one of my favorite movies ever. I love Sydney. She's my favorite Scream Queen. She's my favorite final girl. She is my favorite just badass character in a movie. She is the one. And it's amazing to see how through all the movies she remains well acted and well taken care of in every movie. Like, Sydney's always the best part to me. And I just love all the Scream movies. I'd like to thank you for watching this video. I'm going to be doing continuing the series with other of my favorite horror series, and the next ones coming up will be Jason and Freddy, who are my top favorite horror icons, and I'm going to do ranks for those movies. So, goodbye, Sydney.